What's up? It's your boy TP Tory. You feed me? Back on another episode of my podcast. Here today we got a special guest. This is one of my homies, one of my closest friends right now. Became some of a big brother to me. His name is
Dwayne. Everybody call me Reese.
Yeah, we got Reese here. We finna talk about a few things today, and we gonna get in some topics that you might like, you might not. I mean, hope you love it here. If not, I mean, I don't know, you know. So, all right. First things first. If you on this channel and you ain't subscribed, and you know, go ahead, bring your ugly ass, like the video, subscribe, do all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Bring your ugly ass on. We all welcome here. So, all right, let's go ahead and get disruptive. This topic today is going. It's something that I've been seeing a lot that bugs me. Actually, it actually gets on my nerves, to be honest with you. But it's become more common than not, from what I've seen in all types of work environments, church environments, all types of things. When it comes to people not putting their best foot forward and they just getting by. I like to call it exceptional mediocrity, and that's loaded. But the reason I say it's loaded because I think I'm a little smart. The reason I say mediocrity is because mediocrity implies a system of mediocrity. The system rewards mediocrity rather than incentivizes people to excel and do better in things. So that's just the foundation of this topic today. What's your first thoughts on that? Just hearing that topic, what you think?
Break that down for me. Break it down a little bit more.
All right. So we all know what being mediocre is. It's just like the late great Kevin Samuels would say, average at best. It's basically just making minimal efforts, just doing things just to get by instead of doing things to excel. It's like surviving instead of thriving. You feel like that type of thing.
So when particularly would you say this happens?
I could give you many examples. I would say this happens at work. People go to work, they'll do whatever it takes. They'll do some of the job to not get fired, but they won't do anything to actually showcase their real talents. And matter of fact, I'll just put it this way: we together, we see each other every Sunday. We play together every Sunday, and I'm not talking about our situation, so nobody think we talking about our situation. But what we notice that a lot of churches and whatever the case may be, people just come in and they don't really care to give their best foot forward. They just care to come in, get their money, and go.
Right.
And it shows. And I think that it came from a what you would call, I guess, a mercenary mindset instead of a soldier mindset. Mercenaries, you know, they contract guns. You hire them to do a job.
Right.
They not on either side. They on the side with the highest bidder.
But they say preachers call them hirelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, a soldier, they're giving their life for what they believe in their country if they weren't drafted.
Right.
But that type of mentality. So what do you think?
I agree. I personally know a couple musicians that they learned to play simply for the bag, you know, and once they reach a certain level, I mean, we're talking about no practice. You know, you're young. When you're young, you kind of grab musical things a little bit faster than an actual adult would. But before they reach their peak, you know, you doing things with minimum practice just because you're hungry. You got the drive, and depending on what time frame you're in, it's accepted. You know, especially if you go to like small churches. You be in small churches, you know, if they don't have nobody else, they take pretty much anything. You know, so but once it's time to develop and grow, if they start seeing the money first, a lot of times they kind of lose the initial, you know, why we should be doing what we're doing in the first place. Having the heart of the church becomes third dairy, not even secondary. It just becomes all about the bag. How many churches you can hustle, and I would see that as a problem.
And I'm glad you said that because I remember a while, probably I don't know when this was. We had a conversation, and you was telling me it was like, man, I'm about to be 40. I ain't trying to be around here hustling churches for no money. And,
Definitely not.
And I feel you on that. And I actually absolutely agree with you.
Right.
I think that we as musicians got to a point where we treat church worse than gigs. And
Exactly.
like this is in sense supposed to be a ministry. And I ain't trying to get deep with y'all. Y'all know I ain't no preacher or nothing like that. But essentially we not doing this for ourselves. And the heart and passion is gone way left field. And I can put a timestamp somewhere around when I noticed it started to get worse. But I would say COVID time, when a lot of churches were at this point not having services, but they were doing live recordings.
Right.
With that entailed availability of a lot of people to play places they weren't
Right.
at the same time. So then, people started to hire people to do these pre-recorded services and stuff like that. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that because you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
But you got some people playing at 10 churches maybe doing pre-recordings.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? It's really just what's next? What's
Right.
next? What's next?
They don't
What's
even
next?
stay the bulk of the service no more. So you
Exactly.
talking about praise and worship and getting out of there.
Right.
So I see that as it's interesting because you have people skilled or not that has more of a drive for growth, development, may even have the best interest or the heart of the leader. They're not going into a church to change it per se. They just want to make it better and they want to develop while they're there. And it's interesting enough, a lot of times that type of individual, and they might be decent, they might not be the best in the town, or in the city, but it's interesting enough that sometimes the faithful guy ain't the one that gets hired, that gets brought on. A lot of times they'll make their way on hiring these other guys, and then the faithful guys, they just get kind of kicked to the side, in which, some of us kind of locked down. We said something before, man, and we're not ones that want to be considered hustling churches, I actually started playing for churches and actually getting paid like 6 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But I've been playing 20 years. Started out playing drums, and it never crossed my mind to go play for churches to get paid. I was brought up to where your heart's intent matter a lot more than getting paid, and it was and building character, being humble, but not in the place where I would talk down to myself just to feel like I was humble.
Right.
It happened like that before. People would come to me and say, God bless you, anointed man of God. And then I would say things like, I'm nothing. I would say things like I'm nothing, but that whole process, my dad constantly telling me, stay humble, stay humble, stay humble. And actually reading my Bible and actually living by a standard and having a moral code, that kind of helped me build the character, and without being a church hustler or hustling churches for money.
And it used to also be a time where you could get in trouble when that church when you ain't living right.
Yes.
They sit your behind down somewhere.
Sometimes and a couple of people I know right now, no telling what happens, and that's something I think that the church got to start dealing with too. They have to start remembering the standard
Exactly.
that at least that we used to have. If you don't want to say it's in the Bible because people have debates on whether or not you can drink and you can do whatnot, but it used to be a standard. You came and you played, it was just like you ministering.
Exactly.
Just important as the preacher getting up there to preach. So I think that got to be brought back.
I agree 100%. Ain't nobody perfect. Ain't nobody asking anybody to be perfect out here. But there is a differentiation that you should have as a believer versus a non-believer. You shouldn't come into a church looking like you just came out of a club or smelling like you just came out of a club or,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, speaking as you would in a club.
Right.
Like,
right.
it's no sense of reverence at all. There's no, and this is like, I'm not talking about any specific environment because it's everywhere. No matter
Right.
where you go at
Right.
this point, this is what you see inside churches. And I think that, like, I ain't saying like be fake, but it's a point where your demonstration of your life matters because
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, if there's no difference between the sinner and the saint at this point.
Right. Right.
And I mean, like, if you ain't perfect, your job ain't to go tell everybody you ain't perfect and to go.
Right. Right. They praise that.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
you
like
get time-
yeah, like, oh yeah, I'm a pastor. I'm gay. Like, like, welcome to the gay church. What you talking about, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, is and I ain't trying to single out homosexuality, but it's a lot of junk that's crazy
Right,
these days.
right.
And
The sinful nature of a man, especially in a musician, is starting to be praised.
exactly.
Right.
That's the point I'm making. It's like we starting to respect the things that are not of God more than the things that are of God. And when somebody says, "Hey, we need to bring these standards back," that becomes a quote unquote whistleblower or whatever the case may be,
Right.
and then they get alienated. Like, ain't the mission to live a better life? Ain't the repentance to not do the stuff that you was doing before?
Right. Right.
So it's all to me, it's literally scripture playing out itself.
Right.
When it says people will start to call good evil and evil good.
right.
It's literally that playing out in real time. And we see it. And bringing this to somebody's attention, they gonna tell you that you being too deep. You being too whatever. You being all this, that, and the third. It's like, bro. Or that you being judgmental.
Right. Yeah. But it's really about growth. It's about, it's about to come up, man. Nobody, I mean, I don't know anybody per se, can we call out a name on here? Like Snoop, I say Snoop Dogg. All right.
That's fine.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg, he had his lifestyle, but right now he is not the same dude that came out of California, came from the Creoles way back then, man. At some point, you have to develop and just become better overall, especially if you're talking about being in the church. It's not about judging nobody. It's not about any of that. But just like the end goal was for us to strive for perfection. Everything about your life is not being a musician. You more than that.
Right.
So I remember some years back, a lot of people was gravitating to a certain lifestyle, even as church musicians, because they saw that that's what the superstars was doing.
Exactly.
And it was like, man, being in church, even though it may happen, you might become a superstar because you are highly effective. It's still not a chance for you to go inside of a church thinking I'm finna go and blow up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I can have this vice and that vice because Andre Crouch had this vice, or you hear about other musician or other circular artists might having these vices, and you feel like it just comes with the art. It don't have to be that way.
Right. And
Yeah.
and also if you lost conviction for stuff that you know is wrong, then you are in a bad place. You are in a place of a reprobate mind. Like, you don't even feel bad when you're doing bad junk no more.
Yeah.
Like, if you have no guilt, no convictions or nothing after doing something you know you ain't supposed to be doing, you was in a bad place. And you should check yourself. Because everybody has an intuition of knowing something right versus wrong. Even I was watching something yesterday actually. It's an old pimp. You ever heard of Sugar Free?
Sugar.
His name, he was a notorious pimp. His name was Sugar Free. He used to rap. He used to rap too.
I got to see him.
Oh
I got
man,
to see
but
him.
he was basically telling. I don't know when his interview was, but at the point in time in the interview, he said, "I stopped pimping 12 years ago." The dude asked him, "Was it hard?" He was like, "The way it happened, it wasn't hard." He was like, "Something came to me and told me, if you don't stop this, I'm gonna take something from you." And then he was like, "Yeah, it'd be that easy." The interview was like, "Yeah, be that easy, be that easy." And then he was like, but nobody was there.
Right, right.
So I wonder who told them that.
Man, I remember it was either you or one of our other brothers I was speaking with some time ago, and I brought up the time back in the day where musicians would get together and play, effective musicians, and then you get all the kids, and they would just come around. They would want to be a part. It was so inspirational to see that, and for some reason that don't happen. I haven't seen that anywhere else out of church that I go play where a kid will come up. And so I don't think with the bar for music being so high now in church, I doubt it's because instrumentalists aren't as effective. And I mean, as felt like talented, but I think it speaks to how effective they are at what they do and how we lack the actual inspiration, the ability to inspire, and that might, we can fake it all day. We can get in here, play, we can shout at everybody. But at the end of the day, when you rolling with God, man, it everything comes across a little different. You could be doing the simplest thing, or you can find somebody who is not as gifted, but they're more effective. And tons of people flock to that one individual, so.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because we was having this conversation. I think we had another homie in the middle of it too. But it's also, it's also that exceptional mediocrity. And that's another level to it, another layer to it, because you will get a lot of people that want to be around the best talents. They'll gather the best people around. They'll have, I'm finna play with this dude, I'm finna play with this dude. But they still operate in a just get by mentality.
Yeah.
They get all these skilled people, all this talent around just to make it. I'm like, what is just to make it is not for the talented people. That's for the people that you don't have the talent, that you just work with to get by.
Right.
If you have the talent, you should have the production that the talent begets.
Even if you ain't trying to do this the rest of your life, man, it's your brand.
It is the stupidest thing in the world to get the best doctors around in the world to go perform a colonoscopy on somebody. That makes no sense. Why do people think like that? If you're getting the best doctors, the best minds in the world around, it's because they're doing a very difficult and grueling and I can't even think of the word, but a hard task, a not easy task that everybody can't do. So why do people gather the best people around them to do the easiest task? It's dumb. It's a waste of talent. Y'all need to stop that. I need to stop. I'm talking to y'all. I'm talking to all y'all. Y'all need to stop that junk. So, and I have a problem. I find myself in situations where I end up challenging people that are above me, and not challenging in a bad way, not like bucking up against them or nothing. Just like, bro, we have the opportunity to be better. We have the opportunity to do better. Why aren't we? Why are we just acting in this get by mentality? And it bugs the living crap out of me. And I don't understand. I see sometimes where people coming from. I know some people are defeated because they may have tried before.
Yeah.
But it just ain't in me to just go out like that.
Right. And if it is some people to go out that way, give the seat up.
Right. Right. That's another thing for sure. You gatekeeping, you holding everything up. And some people hold up progress because they can't keep up with advancement.
Right.
So some people will hold that seat because it's like, I don't want to put in the work to get better, but I don't want anybody else to have this job but me.
Right.
And that's it's a selfish thing, and I don't understand the mentality of people.
They try to turn up just a little bit, or somebody else come in there, might be a little more skilled.
Yeah.
You try to turn up a little bit. Yeah.
I think affects essentially what's been lost the most in production of exceptional results and exceptional works is really purpose, desire, and passion. And that's a good segue, actually. I think purpose is very important, and I think many people are operating without purpose. And as of recently, I actually was sitting with myself wondering, what is my purpose? I know it's easy to say, as believers, we all know our purpose, to serve God and all that good stuff. But on my earthly journey, what is my purpose? Is my purpose just be a dad and a husband at some point to somebody or something like that? Is that my purpose? It's not. That's a part of my purpose,
Right.
but what am I here to do? So what do you think? Do you know your purpose? What is your purpose? Or you ain't got to know. Just expound on that.
Purpose is just one thing. You can name a few things, and without being general, Ecclesiastes, it says the whole duty of man is to keep the commandments. So everything else after that, it's gonna be people benefiting from me serving God, because He's priority. Doing that is priority. If I play and you feel something, most times I don't like to think about what I'm doing. I'm not trying to wow anybody. So if everything's on time, maybe the house, gets in the spirit, maybe you feel something. I'm not playing so you can feel something. It just happens. So you're benefiting from the lifestyle I live while I'm home. Any works that I do, if I'm effective at it, towards people benefit from that. So I don't want to just, make you feel like it. I mean, it has to be one specific thing, but there is a base, there's a foundation, and it broadens out like a tree. And then wherever your gift is and wherever you find yourself working in, and you are effective, that becomes a part of that.
Okay, so you sort of answered my next question, but I'm gonna just tackle it a little deeper. Pause. So, dang, where was I going with this? Okay, all right. So I understand the gist, the essence of what you were saying, and I just wanna ask you, and let me preface this question. So, like my career or careers, obviously, I've been in finance and accounting for a while, and I've been a musician for a while. Those are my two what I call careers. But I know my purpose ain't to sit around and be playing with no finances, and crunching numbers and doing all that other junk.
Right.
As of late, I've been feeling like my purpose isn't to play drums either, because I don't know, maybe that's just some personal junk I'm dealing with. But how do you know that what you're doing is tapping into your purpose specifically? Not as like, so say if both of us serve God and we're in that purpose, what makes your purpose different than my purpose?
The function. My function might be just like the function of the neck is different than the function of the hands. You there for a different thing, but we connected to the same source. You know what I'm saying? So whenever you find that thing, and you're a little more in line with God, with your family, which means not saying you ain't gonna have no enemies or nothing like that, but you're a lot more aligned, a lot of things that, and you become more driven for that, even when you hate it. It's like but you have to also realize there's multiple functions for every one part of the body. So just because you're a neck, it don't mean you just here to hold the head up, or just you just here to sit still. You have mobility,
Right.
to the right, to the left, down. You're supposed to be able to look up. Your hands, your fingers, Your thumb, these fingers move different than your thumb. You know, and even though you might be a hand, you just have multiple things that you can do. Are you effective? Is everything lining up? And if your base, your foundation has nothing to do with God, I'm not gonna say you can't be effective, but I'm gonna say it'll become clear that you're not in alignment. You know, and what I mean by effective, I mean I'm not saying your gift gonna be gone and you're not gonna be talented no more and whatnot, but you're gonna feel off. You're gonna feel a little isolated. Maybe might have a little depression coming in there. You know, who knows? Who knows? And sometimes it might just mean you ain't doing enough. Sometimes it might mean you're not doing enough, and sometimes it means it's times to move on. Whatever it means is that wherever you're doing, you find yourself totally driven towards it. You know that you got everything else in order the best you can, and you're effective at it. And even though it's bittersweet, you failing at it, but you still driven. You know, it's something at the end of the tunnel for you, and you just kind of keep kind of honing in on whatever you're doing. You know, and don't get confused on whether or not just because you might be failing at a thing at first, you still driven for it, but you failing. Failure is part of the process. You know, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, I was told by certain individuals that if you failing, God ain't in it. But anybody that was successful in what they did, they failed. They had a process of failure, and that one time they succeeded, they kept on. Well, it wasn't really one time if you look, but you continue to succeed after you fail. You start learning how to win because you lost so much. And if you're not driven for it and you just doing it, you just holding the seat.
So if your pain never turns into peace, can you claim that as your purpose?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Or are you just delusional fighting for something that ain't
It could be possible that you could be a little delusional. You know, I mean, it's time frame for everything. And sometimes it don't mean you have to give it up. It just means it shouldn't be a priority. You know, I'm probably gonna play piano until my hands stop working, but I don't plan on. I mean, depending on whatever else happens, if I become a contractor for doing commercial job, I used to do construction. You know, I still know how to do all that stuff. I know how to pour concrete. I know. Shoot, I built a few houses back in my. You know, I already know how to do all of that kind of thing. So, what if this is not working for me? Like producing, and I need to go back somewhere else. Well, it don't mean I have to quit. It just means I have to start making it a priority. You know, what if it's meant for me to teach somebody else in the future how to be more effective in what I'm doing?
And I was just about to ask you that because this is my last question because I know you got to go. So can your direct purpose in life be more effective to somebody else than your purpose in life? I don't know if that made any sense, but if you get what I'm trying to say, is my purpose is to impact them so they can do the work. Is that like an indirect purpose?
That's very possible. It's a lot of people that want to be stars, but there's better teachers than they were players. You know, and so sometimes you just have to realize that, you know, that might be that might be where God wants you. He wants you. You might not be the person that's supposed to be a superstar. You remember that James Brown movie where what's the dude name? James Brown's best friend. You don't remember? Did you see it? Oh God!
You talking about the one with Chadwick Boseman?
Yeah.
Oh, I ain't watching.
Oh well, he had a friend. I forgot the dude's name. He had a friend in the movie. He met him in a jail. James Brown went to jail in the movie. And the guy was a traveling gospel singer, and he used to go to prisons to sing. He initially wanted to be a superstar. He met James. James kind of gave him props on how he was singing. They ended up becoming friends when he left prison. James became the superstar, and he fell back. He didn't stop singing. He didn't stop writing. He didn't stop doing that. But he realized he wasn't supposed to be the guy in front. You know.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up. That was a good little talk. Definitely gonna bring Reach back. I got some homework. My homework is to watch that James Brown movie because I ain't seen it. so on the next episode, I might give a little talk about that. But everybody, thanks for watching. If you got this far, I appreciate it for sure. You know, this thing is from the ground up, so all these little kinks and stuff is gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? We gonna push it though. So it's gonna develop, and y'all gonna see a better product come every single week. And with that, appreciate you. I hope you liked the conversation because I'm always on go. If you didn't, I don't know. All right, y'all. Peace.